It's Tuesday, June 2nd, and stop the presses. Rafael Nadal has lost at the French Open. It's his first loss ever, and he lost to Roger Soderling, a previously unheralded Swede. So how exactly did Soderling pull off this upset? Well, let's go through a couple stats, and that'll help us understand what exactly went on with this match. Soderling served 64% for his first serve, 61 winners, 59 unforced errors, and 5 of 6 on break chances. Nadal was 77% for his first serve, 33 winners, 28 unforced errors, and 2 of 4 on break chances. So Soderling hit 61 winners, he makes 59 unforced errors, and that was indicative of his overall strategy, which was basically, in layman tennis terms, to grip it and rip it. You go out on the court, you either try and hit a winner or force the action, try and keep the points real short. And Nadal's level was not, he wasn't at the top of his game. He was down. As an aside, I believe Nadal's the greatest clay court player that ever lived, and if he's at the top of his game, nobody can beat him on a clay court. But he wasn't at the top of his game. So what ended up happening was you had Nadal out there about 10 feet behind the baseline. He normally sets up shop there during a neutral rally. But his groundies were falling a little bit short. They were falling around the service line. And against a lot of players, that's not always a huge liability because Nadal hits the ball high over the net and has a lot of topspin, so the ball kicks up really high, and it's tough for a lot of players to handle that shot. Federer famously struggles with his one-handed backhand against Nadal's heavily spun topspin forehand. Well, Soderling is 6'4", he's really strong, and he hits a really flat ball. So he was camping out at the baseline, and Nadal's balls were falling short, and they were kicking up high. Well, at 6'4", that's right in Soderling's wheelhouse. That's exactly where he wants it. That's like batting practice for him. So he was hitting his flat balls, and because the ball's high over the net, he doesn't need as much topspin to get the ball to drop down into the court, so he really could go after the ball, and you saw that's exactly what he was doing. He was dictating play because Nadal's ground strokes, which were a little off, played right into his style of play and the advantage he has as a 6'4" Swede. So that was huge. Second of all, Soderling played the big points better than Nadal, which is a little surprising. I mean, when you think of Nadal, you think, well, this guy is just really clutch on the big points. But it was Soderling that was coming up with the goods in the critical moments. Like I said, he was 5 out of 6 on break chances, and Nadal was 2 of 4, which isn't awful, but what really crystallized how Nadal just didn't have his A game, he wasn't at the top of his game and clutch in those big situations, was in the fourth set. It was 6-5. Soderling was serving to stay in the set, and he was down 15-30. Soderling hits a serve, the point gets started, and Nadal hits a wide ball to Soderling's backhand. Soderling is pulled off the court, hits a backhand down the line. It's not a great shot. So now Nadal has a cross-court backhand that he can either hit for a winner or he can hit to take complete control of the point. But instead of doing either, he dumps that shot in the net. And I just thought, when was the last time you remember Nadal missing a shot like that? Normally you expect him to make that 10 out of 10 times, but he missed it. And again, that just said to me, you know, this guy just doesn't have his A game. So the match really wasn't more complicated than the following 3 things. First, Nadal didn't have his A game. 2, Soderling played great. He hit a bunch of winners. It's hard to beat somebody if they go out in the court and all they do is go for winners and they make them. Not much you can do. And 3, Soderling just played the bigger points better. I mean, again, if Nadal makes that backhand at 5:30, it's now 5:40. Nadal has 2 set points, and you better believe Nadal is going to pull it out if they get to a 5th set when it's all about heart and everything else isn't nearly as important. So that's why Nadal is sitting home right now, and Soderling has since beaten Davydenko, which was a little surprising. I actually thought Davydenko was going to win that match, but now Soderling is going to face Fernando Gonzalez in the semifinals. So what does this all mean for Roger Federer? This is probably now his best shot to win the French Open in years. But yesterday he just squeaked by Tommy Haas in 5 sets. He was down 2 sets to love, and he ended up pulling it out, winning the next 3 sets, pulling it out in 5. Well, you could argue that Federer has an enormous amount of pressure on his shoulders now, more than many of the past tournaments he's played, even in Grand Slams, because if he wins the French Open now, he's probably going to be crowned the greatest of all time, the GOAT. But if he loses, he becomes the guy who couldn't step up in the pressure situation and take that mantle as the greatest player of all time. So that's a pretty tall order, at least pressure-wise, expectations-wise. And you could see his play was a little bit inconsistent. Maybe he was thinking about that when he was playing Haas. But he has been inconsistent the entire tournament. So it'll be interesting to watch. He plays Monfils tomorrow. Federer should, in my opinion, Federer should win this tournament unless he lets his head get in the way, because there's not really a guy that threatens him. If Federer's playing his best and the other guy's playing his best, Federer should win pretty much 10 times out of 10. So this is now Federer's tournament to lose. It'll be real interesting to watch. A lot of pressure on his shoulders, but I'm really looking forward to the rest of this week and then into the weekend in the finals.